Zoom a second ago, and it's kind of driving me crazy, but it's too late to change it now. There's a grammar problem in the subtitle. So please forgive me for that. I know showing your should be YOU apostrophe RE. So sorry about that. But anyhow, hopefully the content after this, there will not be any more spelling issues or grammar issues. Okay. But showing your worth and keeping every penny of your commission. Okay. So I know that the majority of realtors that I do business with and I know are worth every single penny that they earn. Now, there's a lot of things changing in our industry, in your industry, right now more than mine is the NAR change. So I want to make sure that we equip you with some tactics, topics we're going to talk about today that's going to help you making sure that your buyers, which is what's important, your buyers and sellers, but today specifically your buyers, know that you're worth every penny that you're being paid. Okay, so we're going to go through some different things, but up front, I want to give you some things to just consider and think about. And that is number one, 1,464 versus you. If you're not sure what that number is, it is the number of other realtors that are currently in RVAR. Right now, and I just checked yesterday, there's a 1,464, actually 1,465 agents and you that are licensed in RVAR. You've got competition. You need to make sure that you're standing out because there's a lot of competition just in the market that we're in. There's a lot of you all. So how do you stand out? Now, I want to break this down a bit further. Also, according to RVAR, through the end of May, there have been 2,037 homes that have sold year to date. So if you just take that number and divide it by 1464, that's means on average, the average agent so far year to date has closed 1.39 homes. Okay. That's not a whole lot of money to live on if that is possibly where you fall. Now, we all know, though, just because of how everything works in the world, if you've ever heard of Pareto's principle, it's usually an 80-20, meaning that 20% of the people do about 80% of the sales. I think when it comes to real estate, a lot of times what you're going to find is it's even more skewed than 80-20. It's really more like 90-10, meaning that 10% of that 1,465, 10% sell 90%. That means 146 agents sell about 9 homes they have year to date. Now, you may be above that average, you may be below it, but that on average is about what we're looking at so far, okay, year to date. Now, there is other competition that you have too. So you've got your local competition that's here, and hopefully the majority of that local competition is friendly competition. But here's the other thing that's coming at you too. And I just searched this yesterday to get some ideas of who what's your competition out there doing that's online and offering discounts, because what I want to help you do is make sure that you're worth every penny of your commission. But I'm not a fan in my business, or if I were a realtor, I'm not a fan of you ever cutting your commission. You should never, ever consider cutting your commission. But here's what your competition is doing that's online. You have Redfin. And some of the things I'm going over may not be big in our area yet, but I can tell you they're coming. And some of this is here in our area because I've seen some of this on the listing side of a contract, and perhaps you have too. But just these came up. I'm sure there's others. Obviously, Redfin, they charge anywhere from a 1 to 1.5% listing fee, which is significantly lower than the traditional, I'm going to say 3. Okay. So they're offering a lot of technology, but the one thing they can't do, and a lot of these others can't do, is relationship building and build trust. They're there for a reason, but there's, what again we're going over today is not how can you compete. Well, it is a little bit how you can compete with Redfin, but we don't want to compete with them on their commission. Okay, that's not what we want to do. Another service is Preview. Same thing, 1.5% listing fee, and they offer a buyer rebate up to 2%. Hauser, this is something that is active right now in Virginia. They provide a flat fee listing service at 5,000 and charge a 2.5% buyer's agent. Let me try that again. Buyer's agent commission. All right. Another one, Ideal Agent. Charge a 2% commission. Offers full service support, including marketing and negotiations. It's available nationwide. And they also pair people with a single agent. Another is Equity First Realty. They're in Virginia, offers a 1.5% listing fee, provides buyer rebates, offer a 0% listing fee if you both buy and sell with them. I mean, this stuff is things that you're competing with. I am in no way telling you you should try to call these places or research them and be an agent for them. I want to make sure that you're working toward keeping, the 3% that you should be getting when you're working with a buyer. But this is your competition. So you've got 1,464 other people in the RVAR, and then you've got this. And I think we will be seeing more of this as we move on in the future in your industry and mine too. So how can we differentiate ourselves? How can we be something different? So in addition to all the competition, you have the changes that are coming up as well too, which of course I'm talking about the NAR changes. And I know really primarily these lawsuits that have come up over the last few months and have a lot been settled now. They've come up really for the main purpose of making attorneys rich. I get that. But I will tell you too, there's also a little bit of validity with us as well when people really start looking at what their agents are doing for them. Now, I'm not pointing fingers, not specifically calling anyone out that is on this. Most of you that I do know here are great realtors. But I will tell you, just from the lending perspective on our side, and just yesterday, I went to a closing and 12 o'clock, the people aren't there. Why? Because the listing agent didn't take care of making sure that their seller was doing things that they should do. The competition that you have, a lot of it is very below average. Like these are things that should not be occurring. These are things that really any agent that is working hard for their buyer or their seller, they're earning every penny of that 3%. But your competition, the majority of them, they're in that 90% that's not doing the work. But I'm just saying this is one of the reasons that some of these lawsuits have come up because yes, they're looking at what the buyer should be paying, but is the buyer really getting the worth that's there? So we want to make sure we give you some tactics that you're going to be able to provide value. You have to decommoditize yourself. How do you do that? The best example, if you can see me on the screen, I'm living proof. I prefer Starbucks over any of the other three that's listed. Now, the other three that's listed, 7-Eleven, Sheets, we have a Wawa coming to the area. I can go in there and get probably a cup of coffee for about $1, $1.50. This, I like an Americano. It was like $4 and some change. So my wife calls it $4 because that's usually what I pay when I go to Starbucks. But when you go to Starbucks, what's the difference? They have taken a commodity like coffee and they have created something completely different than just going in and pouring a cup of coffee at 7-Eleven or Sheets and then walking out. What have they done? They have baristas. And they usually call me by name when my coffee is ready. Um, I go on there enough now, and they usually also have a conversation with me because they know me. When I go in, there's music playing. Usually it's calm kind of music that I enjoy. There's like thousands of different coffee options. It's a great place to go to and relax or work because they've got the Wi Fi. They've got things like they have taken a commodity like coffee and have completely decommoditized it. I mean, they've been a genius in how they've developed their brand and how they've marketed their brand. Now, it may not be everybody's favorite cup of coffee. It is definitely not my wife's. She is more of a Dunkin' Donuts girl. But what I like about Starbucks is the experience, the music, the vibe when I go in. I can relax, I can plug into Wi-Fi, I can work. It's got everything there that I need and coffee, right? So to me, is it worth paying $3 more? Yeah, I probably will do it just to have that experience. So I want you to think of yourself like almost like a commodity like coffee. I already mentioned there's 1,464 others of you in Roanoke. There's the online competition that you have. What can you do to be different? So, one of the things I like to always mention when I'm doing a workshop like this is there's three books. I really encourage you, if you've not read these books, or maybe it's been a while since you have read one of these. I know a lot of you that I work with have read Raving Fans. The Raving Fans book, the Unreasonable Hospitality book, they don't really have a lot to do with real estate, but what they do have to do with, they will open your minds as to how you can be different in your business. Look, this is a time that we have to separate ourselves. We can't be like everybody else. We can't be like our online competition. Like in my industry, for example, so much of my competition is now internet based. If all that we do as my team is send people back online to a website to do an application, they might as well go to Rocket Mortgage or to another service. That's not what I want to do. I want to have a relationship with my clients. I want them to still like me and hang out with me after closing. This is how we need to think. We're in a relationship business. So we need to make sure that we're building relationships, that we're doing things for our clients we're working with that make them say, wow, you're completely different. Okay. So these books, Raving Fans, Unreasonable Hospitality, they will get your mind just going crazy with how you can be different in your business and make your clients say, wow, I love what I got. Wow, you have to use my agent because this is what they do. That's what you want to create, something of that nature. Now, the other book, Full Fee Agent, I'm giving away two of these today at the very end of this class. We'll do a drawing. This is a great book too that also gives you ideas of making sure that you're adding value. So this is specifically for realtors, but making sure that you're adding value to your clients that they will never question your commission or what you're earning. So I know this one is probably more tempting to pick up. However, I will tell you the Raving Fans book, it will get your brain on fire about things that you can do in your business to just differentiate yourself from everybody else. So those are some great books to read. But I want to make sure that you've got some material that you can take a look at. Now, I want to give you several more numbers to consider because I think this gives us a little bit of fuel for making sure that we're creating some tactics to make sure we're putting our buyers to where they feel like they're getting their value. Okay, here's something to consider. And all of this is off RVAR. If you wonder where I'm getting my numbers from, it comes from their website. Average sales price year to date through the end of May, $382,285. Now, 3% of that, which is what typically a buyer's agent would charge. And let me uh, make sure you understand. I did say the word charge. That's what you're charging. I know that's not really technically what you're earning because you're paying brokerage or you're paying other expenses, but we're charging 3% of 382, 285. So the question I want for you to consider is this. Do you think you do enough to charge $11,468 for every client you work with? Like, one way to think about this, if you needed a project done in your home and a handyman came to your house and they said, it's going to take me 5 days to get this done, would you feel good about giving that handyman $11,468 just for your time? So the reason I asked that for a week, yesterday I did a survey of some of the realtors that I work with and called them and just asked them, hey, if you could think real quick, when you're working with a buyer, how much time, like if you really tracked every single hour that you were actually doing work for that buyer, like from the time they call you as a lead to the time that you write offer or show them homes to writing offers to doing a home inspection to go into a closing, how much time would you think you might spend with a buyer during that whole transaction? And on average, the number of hours I got from the agents I talked to yesterday were 40 to 50. Now, let me clarify and put some disclosures out. You might work with a buyer for a year, but you're not working with that buyer for a year every hour for that year, right? So I'm talking about the actual work. Now, some buyers, they're going to require a whole lot of attention. Believe me, I get it because I work with them too. Then there's other buyers that you may work with. They see one home, write an offer, it gets accepted. They may pay cash, don't need me, and everything happens really, really quick, right? So on average, though, what I was told yesterday was it's usually about 40 to 50 hours with a buyer. So if you think about $11,468 on average per client that you're charging, the average time working on a buyer, 40 to 50 hours, equals somewhere between $229 and $286 per hour. Would you pay yourself that? Like, if you're being truthful and honest with yourself, the value, the tasks, the things that you do for your buyers, do you feel that you are worth $229 to $286 an hour? Because that's how it breaks down. Now, that may be a painful question to ask yourself, but that's in totality what we need to think about. So, when we're thinking, and that's when we're thinking about the substance of what we're talking about, like the closing I said I went to yesterday, but it didn't happen on time because the listing agent didn't follow through with their seller to make sure some things happened. Like, if that agent may have been thinking about, this is what I'm earning, I'm getting paid this amount of money, is it not worth my time to make sure this is occurring with my seller? Like, I think, we need to all think. I need to think like that in my business as well too, but we all need to think, I'm charging $11,468. Am I providing that kind of value to my clients? I think you're worth every penny if you're doing the work, right? So I want to make sure that you're doing enough to make sure that you're earning that. So as we're going through this, I'm going to give you some tactics to decommoditize yourself. All right. So, as stated, the three books that I mentioned earlier, Raving Fans, Unreasonable Hospitality, and The Full Fee Agent, those are great ways. Those books will give you some great ideas, great tools of thinking out of the box of how you can be different. But I'm going to give you a few tactics that a top agent that I work with is using right now, specifically with buyers, on what she's doing to make sure that she's creating value. So I know this form is going to be really hard to read. One thing I would like right now to ask you to do is, if you will email me, there's I think about 13 people on this call. If you will email me just send me an email, just say webinar, and I will send you the handouts that you're looking at. That way you have a copy of it that you can take, modify, and use something in your own business. So I'm happy to send you these. Just, if you don't mind, send me an email, just say webinar, we'll send you out the handouts. Okay. I'm going to stop the screen share right now in the PowerPoint, and I'm going to go straight to just sharing this actual form. So bear with me just a second. And this would be a whole lot easier for you to read once I have this up. Okay, so this is a buyer intake form. Now, one thing I thought this was super interesting. About I don't know, a month or so ago, we did a ladies breakfast, and had Marjorie Adam in to speak at it, and she polled the ladies that were there, and there were about 35 ladies that were at this breakfast, and polled them of how many do a buyer presentation. I think there were a total of one, maybe two, that do this. Back before COVID, it was very natural, I think, for agents to meet more face to face with the buyers. Back before COVID, it was more natural for loan officers to meet face to face with almost every client in the office. And Zoom, while it can be great because we're doing things like this, and Zoom can be great when I'm meeting with someone that lives in California, moving to Virginia, there's great ways we can use things like this, but meeting with people face to face, there is a whole lot of value in that. So Marjorie asked the question, how many actually meet with their clients? They try to do it face to face, if not face to face on Zoom. And again, out of 35 realtors, I think two, maybe it was just one, raised their hand. So I'm telling you, for the most part, your competition is not going through the things that we're about to go through. But one of the things that she does on her team is they have a buyer intake form. So on their desk, and I've been in their office, she's got this in a file folder, and her team members also have a file folder with this form in it, and they can just pull the form out when a client calls. They can start with, "How did you hear about us?" If referred from a current or past client, then we use the phrase, "We love working with them. How do you know them?" Why would you ask this? Because it builds trust. One of the ladies on this call is Monica. Monica and I do work together. And anytime any of the agents I work with ever refer us somebody and we get the lead on the telephone, one of the first thing we one of the first things we will ask is, "How did you hear about us?" If they say Monica, our next verb or next sentence is going to be, "Wow, Monica is one of the top realtors around. She is one of my favorite humans on the planet. I am so glad you have connected with her. How do you know her?" Why do I ask that? Because they're calling me because of their relationship with Monica. If they trust Monica, I want to convince them they can also trust me too. A large part of our business is based simply on one word, and that one word is trust. If you read the book, Full Fee Agent, the whole first chapter is about building trust with your buyers, building trust with the people that potentially may list with you. It's the number one thing that we need to work on is building trust with other people. So we call that a trust pyramid. There's Monica, there's me, there's the client. You trust Monica, I trust Monica, Monica trusts me, therefore you can trust me too. That's kind of the way it works. Okay. But that's why we ask, and that's why we like to let them know we love who referred you to us. How do you know them? Then you see the next thing on Marjorie's sheet. You may think this is weird. It says, "That's great. Are you currently working with an agent?" Like, sometimes you need to address the elephant in the room right away. You want to know where you stand. So, and we often ask too, "Are you talking to other lenders?" I want to know. Am I the only one, or is that like a beauty contest and I'm competing with 10 others? Like, I need to know where I stand. So I think it's a great question to ask. Then you get their name, get their partner spouse's name, the email, phone number. So you have that. Then you see, you always ask, what's the best way to contact you? Do you prefer call, email, text, current address? Do you own this home or are you renting? If you own, do you need to sell? Do you have a current lease? When does your lease end? Is this a first home purchase? What's the ideal time frame? How long do you plan to stay in the home? Who else would be living in the home? Now, look, these are great, great questions right here because of if I were calling you and telling you I was interested in buying a home right now, and you asked me these questions, and you asked that question, who else is living in the home? I would tell you my son Sammy. If you said the age, I'd say 13. And then you might ask me, does Sammy have a dog or cat? My answer would be no, but he's got a horse. Would that be something great to know as a buyer's agent? That you're going to have to find me a home that I can put a horse at? Like asking these questions, so, so good. But a lot of times I know it's typical. You get a phone call from a person that may come through Zillow or another source, and you just get right to which home are you looking at? And these are great questions because you need to build a relationship and build rapport. All right. So you ask those. Have you met with a lender? Like you want to know who they've met with. If it's an online lender and that's not your comfort zone, you need to tell them. Like you're the expert. I had an agent tell me a while back, I don't think I can really say that because I've only been selling homes for a little bit. You've passed the licensing exam. Your client has not. You are the expert. You can absolutely 100% definitely tell your client, hey, I think you would have better luck with a local lender because they know the local taxes, they know the local area, they know the local closing companies. Like, let's go with a local person. So I'm just saying it's a great question to ask. And if they don't, we prefer to get you pre approved before our meeting. Can we send you someone to contact? Yes or no? Then we would like to set up a meeting in person or over Zoom to answer your questions and get started. And he closed for an appointment. What works for you? In person, Zoom, date, and time. Okay. So this is what she does every single time a buyer calls their office. It's not running out the door to meet them at a property. They do this. They start and create a foundation that's going to build a relationship with that buyer. So here's the other thing that we'll send you. If you send me an email, we'll send you the buyer checklist that she uses. And again, this is just making sure that every buyer is going to be treated the exact same way. So if you've ever been at McDonald's, I live in Rocky Mount. If you go to the McDonald's in Rocky Mount, if you go to the McDonald's close to my office here on Williamson Road, the hamburgers are going to taste pretty much the same. Why? Because they have a system for everything. You have to have a system in your business where every buyer gets treated the same way. So this is her checklist that she uses, and they do track where every lead comes from. These little codes here. When I send you the handouts, I'll make sure I'll break down these acronyms for you so you know what they stand for. But she likes knowing where did the leads come from? Like what source, not just the name of the person, but she likes knowing, like PC, for example, is past clients. She wants to know at the end of the year how many leads came from past clients because maybe that's something she can work on and improve her marketing to would be our past clients. Buyer intake form completed. Check. Appointment set. Check. Marjorie called the referral source to thank them. Check. And you'll see all the way down. She's just making sure that she's getting every single thing done. This is what magnetizes the buyer to you to make them stop shopping if they are talking to other agents or interviewing others. This is what meeting with your client face to face or at least on Zoom. I'm telling you, and again, out of 35 that we surveyed in that workshop, only one or two raised their hand. This is what your competition is not doing. This is what your online competition cannot do. Doing these things will help you build a relationship, help you build rapport with your buyers. Okay. So I just want to share those things with you. Thank you so much for being part of our workshop today. We're going to give away 2 books. All right. So the books I mentioned to you a second ago, and Kim is here somewhere, I believe. Kim,
I'm here.
you're here. All right. All right, cool. All right, I'm going to let you share your screen real quick. And if you
Okay.
already have this book, I'll get you something else. Okay.
It's not letting me share.
You should be able to now, I think.
Okay. Try again. Okay. I didn't put in the people who already have the book. Would you like for me to do that?
Yep, because I'll give them something else.
Okay. Sorry, then bear with me for 1 second. And I
Okay.
don't know who iPhone is.
Okay. If iPhone wins, we'll ask who they are. Okay. Identify yourself. Unless you're Rocket Mortgage and if you're another lender, you're not getting the book.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Here we go. All right. Tommy Nash, has it stopped moving? Tommy, yep, is winner number one. We'll spin it one more time. And Tanya B is winner number two. All right, cool. Thank you all so much for coming, and we look forward to seeing you again. If there's anything I can help you with in your business outside of what we talked about today, please let me know. I'd be glad to sit down with you one on one and help you with your goals. All right, have a great rest of the Tuesday. We'll see you.